Well, hey, howdy, hi, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by to join me today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Ellie, and I'm a witch, and this over here is my teaching assistant, Andy, and today is Tuesday, and on my channel that means it is tea time and true crime, and today's true crime topic is going to be Carl Panzram. I did originally say that this video was going to be the Oakland County child killer case. However, due to the fact that I was sick for the last couple of weeks, I have changed it so I stop having to rewrite it in my planner. So it is not going to be that. That will be in 2 weeks. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this case. Trigger warnings for this case are going to be murder, mentions of rape, and mentions of child molestation. Charles Carl Panzram was born June 28, 1891, on a farm near East Grand Forks, Minnesota. He was the sixth of 7 children to his parents Johann John Gottlieb Panzram and Matilda Elizabeth Lizzie Panzram. The 7 siblings were put to work on the farm from a very young age, but once the truancy laws came into effect, they obviously had to go to school. Their parents were very unhappy that they had to let their children get an education and made them work nights instead. Panzram later reported that he was given about 2 hours to sleep at night before he had to be up for school the next day. He also said that punishments in the house were severe, being bound with chains and being starved were common ones. Now, John abandoned the family when Panzram was about 7 years old, by which time Panzram had already been branded a liar and a thief by his peers. He said that as he grew up, he only became meaner. Of his older brothers, 4 out of the 5 of them left home as soon as they could, and the 5th one had drowned. His first charge came at the age of 8 years old. The charge was drunken disorderly. At age 12, he was arrested and jailed for being drunk in public. After he was released, he broke into a neighbor's house, stole apples, a cake, and a gun. In October of 1903, his mother sent him to Minnesota State Training School, a supposed Reformation school. He later said that while there, he was beaten, tortured, and raped by staff. This all happened in an art room nicknamed the Paintbrush Room. It got this nickname because you would come out painted in bruises and blood. On July 7th, 1905, he burned the school down, but he was not caught. Shortly after the school burned down, he was sent to Red Wing Training School after he was caught stealing money from his mother's purse. He was able to leave the school in January of 1906. Now, by his early teens, he had a lengthy rap sheet, mostly for burglary and robbery. After he turned 14, he tried, unsuccessfully, to kill a Lutheran priest, after which he ran away from home to live on the streets. He would travel mostly by train, and he said of this time that he was gang raped by a group of homeless men. In 1906, he was arrested for burglary in Butte, Montana. Now, he was sentenced to 1 year at the Montana State Reform School in Miles City. Panzram later claimed that after a guard had punished him, he attacked the man with a wooden board, earning himself time in solitary. The next year, Panzram and another inmate named James Benson escaped and went to Terry, Montana, where they stole guns. The two then went on a crime spree. They broke into stores and burned down numerous buildings, targeting churches primarily. The two then went their separate ways in Fargo, North Dakota. In late 1907, after getting drunk at a saloon, Panzram enlisted in the Army. He was assigned to the 6th Infantry at Fort William Henry Harrison. In general, he did not follow orders and caught several insubordination write-ups. He was convicted of larceny for stealing $80 worth of supplies. He was sentenced to 2 years in the United States Disciplinary Barracks at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. Then U.S. Secretary of War William Howard Taft is the one who officially approved the sentence. Panzram later said of his time there that any shred of goodness left in him was smashed out. After he was released, he was dishonorably discharged and almost immediately went back to committing crimes. He started stealing again, and these are things that were as simple as a bike, all the way up to stealing literal yachts. He was arrested and served several short stints. Now, he did not exclusively use his own name, but he was imprisoned under several aliases as well. During his incarceration, he was known to attack the guards and not follow orders. The guards, as a result, would often subject him to punishments or just outright beatings. In his autobiography, he called himself rage personified. He admitted that he often raped the men he robbed and that he also engaged in arson and vandalism. He wrote that after he escaped from a community service sentence in Rusk, Texas, he fled to Mexico in the winter of 1910. His goal was to enlist in the Federales, which did not happen. He then took a train to Del Rio, Texas. About a mile outside of town, he claimed to have abducted, assaulted, and strangled a man, taking the $35 the man had on his person. By the summer of 1911, he was using the alias Jefferson Davis when he was arrested in Fresno, California. He had stolen a bicycle and was sentenced to 6 months, but escaped after only 30 days. He claimed that after his escape, he was riding a boxcar where he disarmed a man who had some kind of job related to the railway, and he made the man rape a homeless man at gunpoint. He then made his way to Oregon to be a logger. In 1913, he was using the alias Jack Allen, under which he was arrested in Dallas, Oregon for highway robbery, assault, and sodomy. He was in jail on those charges for just 2 months before his escape. He was arrested in Harrison, Idaho, but once again escaped. Then he was arrested in Chinook, Montana. He was sentenced to 1 year for burglary to be served at the Montana State Prison. He was admitted to the Montana State Prison on April 27, 1913. He was using the alias Jefferson Davis again. He managed to make his escape from this prison as well, though. A week after his escape, he was once again arrested for burglary, this time in Three Forks. He gave the name Jeff Rhodes, and he was given another year. He did not escape this time, and was released on March 3rd of 1915. On June 1st, he was arrested while trying to sell stolen goods, which he had gotten after burglarizing a house in Astoria, Oregon. Once again, using an alias, he was arrested under the name Jeff Baldwin. For this crime, he was sentenced to 7 years to be served at the Oregon State Penitentiary in Salem. The warden at the time, Harry Minto, was a strong believer in the harsh punishment of inmates. Later in the year, Panzram helped another inmate, Otto Hooker, escape. While he was trying to evade capture, Hooker killed Minto. This is the first known case of involvement from Panzram in a murder, this being considered accessory before the fact. He did escape from the penitentiary on September 18, 1917. He was recaptured shortly after, though. On May 12th, the following year, he managed to escape again. He shaved his mustache and started going by the name John O'Leary. He then went to New York and was able to get a seaman's identification card and sailed on the James S. Whitney to Panama. While in Panama, he tried to steal a boat with an accomplice. The accomplice killed everyone on board and was arrested. Panzram was not arrested, though, so he traveled to Peru and got work in a copper mine. Later, he traveled around some more: Chile, Texas, London, Edinburgh, Paris, and Hamburg. In 1920, he committed a robbery in Newport, Rhode Island. He then committed a burglary of Taft Manor in New Haven, Connecticut. The mansion was the residence of former President William Howard Taft. He was targeted due to Panzram's dislike of the former president. This dislike, of course, started during his incarceration at Fort Leavenworth. In the burglary, he stole jewelry and bonds, as well as a handgun. Using the money he stole from Taft, he bought a small sailing boat. He then set out on an 8-year killing spree that spanned several countries. It was not a consecutive 8 years, though, mind you. He spent 3 months in New York, luring sailors from bars to his boat, where he raped them and then shot them, disposing of their bodies near Execution Rocks Light in Long Island Sound. Panzram claimed that he killed 10 men this way. He had to stop killing sailors when he sank his ship, which also meant that 2 victims were able to escape with their lives. In 1921, he served a 6-month jail sentence for burglary and possession of a loaded handgun in Connecticut. After those 6 months were up, Panzram got on a ship headed to Africa. By the end of 1921, he had gotten a job as a foreman on an oil rig, which he actually burned down later. While in Africa, he stayed mostly in the colonial Portuguese Angola, and it was while there that he sought out a virgin girl. He paid a resident 80 euros to find him one. He was brought a 12-year-old girl who he raped. The next day, he returned the girl to her family and demanded his money back, claiming she was not actually a virgin. He later claimed that during this time, he had also raped and killed an 11-year-old boy. He had also given an account of him hiring a boat with 6 rowers. He shot them all and put their bodies in the water to be eaten by crocodiles. After his time in Africa, he went back to the US. On his return, he stole a boat and sailed from Rhode Island to New Haven, where he was on the prowl for victims and for a new boat. In June of 1923, he stole a yacht in New Rochelle, New York. The yacht belonged to the chief of police. While using the stolen boat, he lured a young boy in with the promise of a job, but he instead raped him. He claims that later in the month he killed another man, whose identity is not known, and killed him, leaving his body in the water. Panzram said that the man was going to rob him, and he had to kill him. On June 28th, police fielded a report about a rape from a man who had witnessed the murder of the John Doe. An alert went out about Captain John O'Leary, and he was arrested the next day. On July 9th, Panzram attempted to escape from prison, but was unsuccessful. What was successful was him conning his lawyer. Panzram gave his lawyer sole ownership of a stolen boat in return for bail money. He skipped out on bail, and the boat was confiscated by the government. On August 26th, O'Leary was arrested in New York after he broke into a train depot. He was sentenced to 5 years. Now, while he was incarcerated, he admitted that he was wanted in Oregon for murder under the alias of Jeff Baldwin, and that didn't amount to anything. In October, he tried to escape, but just ended up with 2 broken ankles and a spinal injury. He was released in July of 1928, and he allegedly committed another murder that summer. On August 30th, he was arrested in Baltimore for a crime committed in Washington, D.C. He had burgled the home of a dentist, stealing jewelry and a radio. 3 other men were arrested as accomplices. Now, when arrested, he gave his real name. During his interrogation, he confessed to murdering 3 boys earlier in the month. Those 3 were not confirmed, but there was a confirmed victim, an unnamed boy in Philadelphia, sometime in August. Due to his criminal history, he was sentenced to 25 years to life. He was sent to Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. He was considered psychotic and told the warden he would kill the first man to bother him. On June 20th, 1929, Panzram beat Robert Warnicki to death with an iron. Robert had not heeded the warning to not bother him. Regardless, he was convicted and sentenced to death for the killing. He actively denied appeal attempts made on his behalf and asked human rights activists to stop trying to intervene and that the death penalty is what he deserved. Panzram ended up writing his life story thanks to prison guard Henry Philip Lesser. Lesser had given him money to buy cigarettes, and that kindness was the first that Panzram has claimed he received. So when Lesser brought him some paper, he started writing. The first thing he wrote was, "In my lifetime, I have murdered 21 human beings. I have committed thousands of burglaries, robberies, larcenies, arsons, and last but not least, I have committed sodomy on more than 1,000 male human beings. For all these things, I am not in the least bit sorry. I have no conscience, so that does not worry me." For his crimes, he was hung September 5th, 1930. He declined the customary black hood and instead spat in the executioner's face, telling him, "Yes, hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard. I could kill a dozen men while you're screwing around." And that is all that I have for you today. Pretty standard video. That one was different. It's one of the older ones that I have covered so far. I kept trying to say 19 for his birth year. It was 18. Really not that, far into the 1800s, but it's still the 1800s. It feels like forever ago. What we have coming up next Sunday, I am not skipping Legends and Lore. It's probably the first time that I'm doing 2 Legends and Lore in a row, but I am going to be doing another Chilling Encounters video. This time it's going to be about alien abductions and encounters. I will be skipping Tea Time and True Crime as well as Misheard History next week, though, because I'm going to be doing another video of My Fatal Alignment series, and that one is about Joseph Paul Franklin, who is an Aries. I will also sometime in the near future, next week or maybe the week after that, be uploading the Reading Nook, the next video in that series, about The Guest Room by Tasha Silver? I don't think that's how you say her name. I'll put it on the screen. I do apologize. So I'm gonna record that video already soon, and so that should be uploaded soon, which will actually be followed shortly after by another Reading Nook video, because I read a novella, however you say it, and so that one's super short, and so just gonna kind of do that in between the guest room and then whatever I choose to do after that. But yeah, you'll have to let me know if I missed anything about Carl Panzram, or if you have any suggestions. But other than that, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.